Good morning to you. Daybreak at iFiber One News Radio. It's a Daybreak show at iFiber. There we go. Jeff Slakey, Spencer Hughes, and Casey Salisbury, Mason County Sheriff. Sheriff Sit Down brought to you by our Community Credit Union. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
How are you?
Good.
I'm going to talk a little bit about, I know you had a conversation with Gina Blanchard-Reed from Turning Pointe, which is a great organization. I'll get to that in a second. But Friday, we really got, it seemed like it came out of nowhere, another day of major snow and very just treacherous driving conditions for folks.
Yeah, it was a really challenging day, and I know that the school districts took some heat on that because of the conditions and putting buses out there. But I think your terminology that snuck up on everybody, that when that came in, I don't think it was supposed to hit right here as hard as it did. And,
nope.
It occurred very, very quickly.
Man.
And it occurred a little bit later in the morning. And everybody, I think they'd probably already sent the buses out. And immediately when that hit, it was like almost compact snow and ice on the roadways real quickly. And it was very busy for all of us. I know that I had calls that morning from school districts immediately asking why we couldn't get deputies out to places because we were already on collisions.
Multiple
and we
collisions.
had two other major incidences that morning, and we were tied up on everything. They wanted to know why the state wasn't there. Well, they were tied up as well. And then there were places where I was getting calls from organizations saying, why won't you get these cars out of their way? Well, we've already got a whole bunch of other things stacked up ahead, and then people were criticizing because we took care of some of the minor blockages first, but we couldn't get to the major ones without getting through a bunch of minor ones to just move things out of the way to get emergency vehicles through. And so it was really tied up for all the agencies. All the law enforcement agencies were extremely tight. I'm guessing that the city must have been, because on the way into town they had a couple trucks blocking Olympic Highway South. It was just, I think it came on so quickly, nobody was quite set for that. So it was a tough day for law enforcement, firefighters alike, all the emergency responders.
We talk a lot about how there is a very, well, there's not a lot of roadways to get from hither and yon in Mason County.
Mason County's
so
tough.
You see, between the Allen side of Greatview Loop Road to the Mason Lake side of the Loop Road entrances, I mean, there was portions of State Route 3 there that were just closed because of this. When it comes to those types of things, how do you then get to different parts of the county if you need to?
We have, in some areas, we have an emergency response plan. For say, it's not as quite as bad as the bridge was fixed at the Skokomish Valley.
Yeah.
But we have places that if that water comes up and we see that coming, we station deputies on the other side, because once that's cut off, you can't get the rest of the way up without going all the way up across the bridge to Tacoma and coming around. So we have places where we'll station deputies, and a couple of our guys have actually ended up staying overnight at fire stations, and it becomes really challenging. And we try to, like, when the river would flood, you try to warn people and get people out of there. I had a few years ago, we had a big debate over, response times to calls when I first came here. And the challenging part is that a lot of people don't realize what you just said, that getting around this county is very difficult.
Yeah.
And it takes us a while. So if you're out on the Tahuya Peninsula, and we get a call, and you've got to come all the way in, all the way across the South Shore, and all the way around, you can look across to see where you want to go across the water, but you can't get there. So we had a bunch of criticism on that. We had a fella come down out of another county that's kind of an expert in these areas, and he went out and was going to show us how to be more efficient, and rode with us. And when he came back, he made the greatest statement. He says, "Sheriff, do you know that there's places that you can't get there from here?" That was his statement. Where he's from, there's just roads going everywhere, but we've got these bodies of water that kind of intercept us that we have to go around, and then we don't have that many. It seems like it, I guess, if you're not from here, it seems like there's a lot of roadways, but like I said, I went over to Thurston County, and we had to know Lacey, Olympia, Tenino, Bucota, Rainier, Tumwater, plus all the county roads. There's more actual roadways in Lacey than there is in all of Mason County road names. So it's just tough to get around.
Yeah.
Now, from a resident's perspective, we see these fender benders and people ending up in ditches and stuff. What would you say is the percentage of the ones you go out to that could be almost entirely, are most of them almost entirely preventable if people just adjust to the weather conditions? Is it mostly speeding? Is it obviously lack of control when you got the icy roads? But
I think, the other day was a little bit of an anomaly. You had people out there, and two-wheel drive pickup trucks with nothing in the back that couldn't go anywhere, and they're just stuck right in place. You can't move forward or backward. But much of it is speed related. It's just going too fast. The other thing that I see sometimes is that you'll get people that want to slow down so much that they impede the traffic, and by the time you come to something, you know, people start stopping behind them and they start taking off, and the stop and start deal, it becomes an issue too. Then nobody can get going. Then you get a whole stack of cars. So it's just driving very within the means of the road conditions, or if you're not comfortable in that, don't be out there at all.
Sure. Because
it really is challenging. I came down Highway 3 in the first big snow that we had, and people were doing like 4 and 5 miles an hour, but the problem was the snow was just starting to stick on the roadway. That's then people get irritated and want to pass. And Highway 3 is just not just not great places on Highway 3 to pass. And I think out where you're at, another issue for us in that you have to watch out for is, especially on that morning, everything looks good until you come around a curve and there's a shady area and you got compact snow and ice and you're in a curve. That's problematic around here. I mean, you can go along the South Shore and some of the areas, Mason Lake Road, you know, it's got a downhill and an uphill, kind of like where you're at. The road bobs and weaves, and you come down into a shady area and it's solid compact snow and ice, and then it's clear again, and people are coming through their regular speed and get in trouble.
And a lot of the private roads too, obviously, they don't get plowed. You know, you go from a plowed road and you get kind of cocky and you get on another road, and like you say, you're not. Next thing you know,
I think
you're going
side
a little
roads,
too fast.
I know, it was real tough for public works. I mean, they did a really good job of getting out there, but when they come through those graders, it does push snow up people's private driveways, and that made it tough for a lot of people.
Tell me about your conversations with Gina Blanchard-Reed from Turning Pointe.
Oh, she just did a great job. You know, the first Thursday of every month, we have an open public meeting out at the Spencer Lake Resort. And this month, Gina was our guest speaker. And she just came out and she talked about Turning Pointe and the programs that they offer and the assistance they offer people involved with domestic violence issues. And it was interesting because since I've been here, there's been a number of directors. And I go back to Chief Davenport and I and Mr. Wilson Haas and a few people got to be there the very first day on the the golden shovel, the groundbreaking day of that thing. I remember being there the first day and seeing where it's come to now. That I never thought it would be a reality, and here we have that shelter, which provides a great deal of services. And Gina came out and talked about what they're doing now and different programs they offer and the people that they assist during these circumstances. It's a huge advantage for us in law enforcement when we need to place somebody, have a safe place to be, and they just do a super job there. And it was really nice to have her out. Also, really fast, you guys mentioned the Forest Festival.
Yeah.
You know, that's such a neat thing. Anybody, for us that grew up here, that's a big deal. And so
we had a great time Saturday night getting the court.
Exactly. Gracie Renneker, she's a family member type. She was on there. We're so proud of Gracie. We saw her pictures on everything, and we're thrilled for Gracie, but all the students that participate in that, because it's such a long-standing tradition. You know, and every once in a while you'll see somebody that many years ago was on that, I mean, way back, was on that homecoming court, or excuse me, the Forest Festival court. So it's kind of a neat deal if you grew up around here.
75 years.
Congratulations to all of them on there.
Absolutely.
Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury here for the Sheriff Sit Down, each week brought to you by our Community Credit Union. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you.